we'll see the topic of edge streaming analytics. A major area of evolution for IT in the past few years has been transitional to cloud service. So nearly every large technology company is now selling a software and services from the cloud, and this includes data analytics. So again, it is offered as a service from a public cloud operator or a built-in massive private data center cloud. You can use both public cloud or you can use data centers or a private data. So in the world of IoT, it's a vast quantities of data will be generated. As we all know that the generation of data or generating of data is very huge and often need to be analyzed and responsibility or respond to be responded done by immediately. So this is what is the concept of analysis with respect to edge streaming, or we also call it as a fog computing, where we have to analyze the data at the basic level itself. And so not only the volume of data generated at the edge immense means bandwidth requirement we have to think in order to transfer the data, and much data may be so time sensitive and needs a immediate attention on waiting of deep analysis in the cloud. Simply, it's not a so easy work to do for a sensitive kind of data. We have to act very immediately, and this has to be analyzed very proper. So that should be done at the first stage itself. So we call it as edge streaming analysis. Next, we'll see the comparing big data and edge analytics. So meaning here the comparing big data and edge analytics is when you hear the term big data, it is usually in reference to unstructured data where no particular or no perfect schema will be there with respect to data, and that has been collected and stored in the cloud. Anyway, we have to store the data in cloud. So the data is collected over a time, so it can be analyzed through batch processing tool. So we have a concept of batch processing tool where we give a job, process in the form of batch. So the tools are like RDBMS, Hadoop, or some other tools at which the point business insights are gained. Tools like Hadoop and MapReduce are great at tackling problems that requires deep analysis on large and complex quality of unstructured data. So in IoT endpoints, in the bandwidth requirement to bring all the data back to the cloud. So we think about the concept of bandwidth also. In the context of IoT, with streaming analytics performed at the edge, and it is also possible to process and act on the data with respect to real time without waiting for the results from a further batch processing job in the cloud. So this is all the concept of the comparing big data and edge analytics. So in the key values with respect to edge data, so are we have three key values. That is reducing data at the edge, analysis and response at the edge, and time sensitivity. So if a raw data is generated in the data center, it makes sense to analyze. But what if the majority of data is being generated in remote locality by sensors? That has to be spread all over the wide area. That is a major talk. Once it has been analyzed and reduced at the edge, the resultant data can be sent to the cloud and used to gain the deeper insights over a time. So this also implies a communication system where a fog nodes are able to communicate with each other when necessary and report results to a big data system in the cloud. From the business perspective, a streaming analysis involves acting on the data that is generated while it is still valuable before it becomes stale. For example, a roadway sensor combined with GPS wayfinding applications may tell a driver to avoid certain highway due to the traffic in the respective highway. So now we'll see the key values with respect to comparing big data and edge analytics. As I said, first one is reducing data at the edge. So the aggregate data generated by IoT devices generally proportional number of devices. It's based on the devices, based on the number of devices at the end level, the data will be generated. And to scale these devices of huge data, quantity of data they generate. So based on that, a quantity of data will be generated. After generating data, they have to pass this data to the cloud, where unnecessary expensive in terms of bandwidth and network if data we are passing all the data we are passing with respect to edge. So before do that, before transferring data, after fetching of data, or after getting of data, or after reducing of data, you have to analyze and respond at the edge level itself. So by doing this, we can reduce or we can remove some noise kind of things in our data. So some data is useful only at the edge, such as a factory control feedback system and so on. After that, time sensitivity. When time response to the data is required, passing data to the cloud for further processing is unacceptable latency. If a huge data is there, again it consumes a large data or a huge data in order to transfer data. So edge analysis also a immediate response to changing the condition. So next we have something called edge analytics core function, where this performs a viewed as a real-time flow, where we have a different simple strategies. First one is a raw input. Second one is analytics process unit. We also call it as APU. And third one is output stream. So what is the meaning of raw input data? See, this raw input data coming from sensors into analytics processing unit. So from sensors, a raw data, a mixture of all the noise and data as well. We call it as a raw data. So that is what the input first. Next, after that, we go with analytics process unit, where will filter a part of data, will take only the required part of data and will separate noise, unnecessary sound or so on, unnecessary disturbance with that data, only will take the required data. So it filters and combines data streams. So at this point, results may be acted by microservices running in the APU. After analysis or after doing APU, we'll go with the next stage, that is output stream. Only the required data will be transferred inside full streams, and it is useful to influence behavior of the smart object. Communication with the cloud often happens through a standard publisher or a subscriber message protocol, such as MQTT. So now we'll see the diagram with respect to edge analysis processing unit, where a raw input stream will be passed. That is what the basic level we have. We have first is raw input. After that, we have something called APU, where it starts processing. It removes unnecessary disturbance or unnecessary data with respect to raw input. Only required data will be processed, and further the data will be stored in database. So here a tool we call as Hadoop in order to store the data. So next we'll see edge analytics core function. So in order to perform analysis in real time, APU needs to perform some following functions. First, as I said, there is a concept of filter. The data generated by IoT endpoints is very large, that we already know, and it is irrelevant sometimes. For example, sensors simply pull the regular basis confirm to still reachable. It pulls some unwanted noise also. The filtering function identifies information that is to be considered and important. Next, transform. In the data warehouse world, extract, transform, and load, we also call it as ETL, operations are used to manipulate the data structure into the form that can be used for other purpose. Next, transferring of data. Finally, we have something called time, where time context is also very, very important. So if this could be a correlate to average temperature regarding from sensors on a minute by minute basis. Example, we have taken here as a temperature with respect to a sensor. Sensor with respect to a temperature, where it fetches a data minute by minute or minute basis. So we have some figure. So this figure establishes a time window for analysis of average temperature from different sensors. Here the different sensors are named like sensor 2, sensor 3, and sensor 5. And we have some other number also with respect to that. There is an average temperature. So what we are going to do, we are creating a stamp here. So that is a stream of time temperatures are there. We'll combine, we'll group in a single cluster, like will combine and will give the average temperature. So that is what we are going to do here. So we are reducing or we are clustering the 533, we are making it as 53, where this sensor 3 27.22 and one more sensor 3 is 26.89. Average will be taken. That average comes like 27.06. So like that, average will be taken, and that will be clustered into a group. So this is how sensors will analyze the data with respect to a temperature. So next we have something called correlate. For example, historical data may be included in patient's past medical history. What is the meaning of correlate? So a new data will be there. With respect to that, old data also will be there. We'll compare that and we'll come for one conclusion. For example, here we have taken as a patient medical past history with respect to a blood sample or a sugar test where monthly basis data will be stored. So we are going to correlate in order to analyze whether the sugar level has increased or whether the sugar level has decreased. Combining historical data gives the live streaming data a powerful context. That is the current condition of the patient. We'll see one diagram with respect to comparing big data and edge analytics. So that is correlating data streams with historical data. So as we all know that first sensors will start sending a data that we call it as a raw data. After sending a raw data, after sensor starts sending, will directly pass to that data to the filter. The responsibility of filter is it cuts the data which is not important, and it takes the data which is relevant. And again it will start transforming. So this again transform that data to next level. That is what the correlate, where correlate has historical data as well. So it will compare your data with respect to historical data and it will come to a conclusion. So that database will be sent again as a output with respect to your data stream with historical data. So here the concept here is we have to think about the past data as well in order to come for a unique conclusion. So next is a match processing. But the name itself says a properly cleaned, transformed, and correlate with other live stream as well as a historical data set that we already fed to a machine, and already a pattern matching operation is used to gain deeper insight into it. Match patterns in order to identify a perfect human shape will train our machine with respect to some patterns. So that is what we call it as a match patterns, where again, for example, say that if you're collecting a patient's vitals for some time and has been gained understanding the expected patterns of each variable. So like this, we are going to train our system with a different kind of data set to gain a particular output. So this particular output is also gained by using something called match patterns. And now we'll go next topic is improve business insights. So intelligence. Ultimately, the value of edge analysis improves the business intelligence because it anyway is going to give efficient results, very fast, accurate, and many more advantages with respect to that. So it again it obviously increases the business intelligence as well. Example: conducting edge analysis on patients in hospital allows staff to respond more quickly to the patient changing needs, and it also reduces volume of unstructured and not only always useful, but data can be set to the cloud. So next we'll see the concept of distributed analytic system. So here you can see the diagram. So in distributed analytic system with respect to IoT system, we have different sensors at my edge location. That is what the first level of my sensors. I mean edge data, where sensors and edge processing will be taken care. Here different sensors are there, namely pressure sensor, temperature sensor, again different two type pressure sensor and temperature sensor. Here I am taking only two sensors, that is pressure sensor and temperature sensor, where the sensor fetches the data and that data will be passed to the data center. In order to transfer data from edge location to data center, something called processing should happen in between your edge location and the data center. So in order to communicate, in order to collect, in order to contact, we will go with the concept of broker. So we can see that broker placed in between your processing or in between your data center and the edge location, where broker maintains the network connectivity. It transfers data from one layer to another layer. So anyway, at edge location, it starts fetching the data. As soon as data will be fetched, that is been passed to the analysis process. Either it will be a streaming analysis or any other kind of analysis that can be done in a processing platform. That we call it as again a fog processing. After complete processing, data will be sent to the data center where dashboard is used, and again data will be stored with respect to the data structure what you have selected, and the data visualization can be done. A data lake in the sense a huge data can be stored. So next we have a sensors communicate with MQTT through the message broker. That's what I explained here with respect to the diagram, where it will be passes through the broker. So again the fog node is located in the same oil ring and performs the streaming analysis for several edge devices, assuming oil ring with my edge device. And that gives a better insights due to the expanded data set. And even more quickly you can analysis the data. Next, we'll see the concept of network analytics. Another form of analytics that is extremely important in managing IoT system is network-based analytics. In order to transfer data, from a lower area to a lower part to higher part, or from lower protocol to higher protocol, or from lower end to higher end, we need a connectivity. That connectivity we call it as a network. So where we want to analyze network also. And this is extremely important in managing IoT systems. Network analytics is concerned with discovering patterns in the communication flow from the network traffic perspective. It has to find the pattern, how exactly my packet will flow from one point to another point. It has to discover the pattern, or it has to discover the communication flow in the network perspective. And network analysis has to analyze the details of communication patterns made by protocols and correlate this across the network, like how exactly patterns are distributed and what is the source address, destination address of my every packet. Everything should be analyzed, and that should be correlated with across all the devices which is there in network. So as discussed, direct communication with a very small number of specific application series, such as an IoT message or a data broker or a specific application server and network management system. So that is what the quickly identify anomalies such as a path malware or any congestion problem or any traffic that has to be analyzed. Considering that an IoT device sends the traffic to a specific server, either directly to an application or an IoT broker with the data payload in the sense the data that has been encapsulated and given as a protocol. So this represents a pair of source and destination address as well as application layer depending upon the usage of protocol, either a TCP kind of protocol or FDP kind of or a UDP kind of protocol. Next, we'll see the diagram with respect to FEAN analytics with NetFlow example. Here FEAN stands with a field area network where we have different areas where we'll get the data. That is multi-service FEAN, that is site 1, site 2, site 3 and so on. Different sites will be there where the data will be fetched. Once data will be fetched, next thing is we have to process that data to a higher protocol or a higher layer. In order to process in the network, we have multiple devices or network elements. So here I'll take multiple switches, routers will be there in between my a starting point and an ending point. So next it has something called a potential flexible net flow. It will be there. Either it may be a packet IPv4 or it may be IPv6 based on the data length generated by the sensors. And definitely, we all know that in order to connect network, a very essential component is IP address of every device. And again, we'll have a connectivity, either TCP kind of connectivity or a UDP kind of connectivity with respect to port numbers and so on. Once data is fetched, that data will be processed and that data will be saved in your network management. That is what DHCP service will provide, a flexible network net flow where you can store the data, where you can retrieve the data whenever you want it. So next we'll go with the network analytics offers a capacity planning for scalable IoT development, and it also monitors secure abnormal traffic flow. If huge traffic is there in a respective path, automatically it has to take deviation to reach the destination, and it has to maintain an order in which where abnormal traffic volume comes in our network. Considering that an IoT device sends a traffic to a specific service, either directly or either by a broker or maybe a broker. And again, TCP or UDP port numbers can be used for analysis. Next, benefits of flow analytics. In addition to another network management service, we have something called, first one is network traffic monitoring and profiling. The name itself says network traffic monitoring. First, we have to monitor the traffic. Based on the data fetched by a sensor or a device, we have to maintain the traffic in the network. If traffic exceeds, again, there is a delay in the packet. So that is what the flow collection from the network. It provides a global and distributed near real-time monitoring, where IPv4, IPv6 based on the data, based on the capacity, based on the size of the data generated by your sensors. Either it may be a IPv4 or IPv6, but our motto is to transfer data from one end to another end. So traffic volume and pattern analysis helps administrator to provide or detect problems quickly and troubleshoot the problem and resolve the problem when they were occurred. So next is application traffic monitoring and for profiling. Next we have something called application traffic, where monitoring and profiling can be used to gain the detailed time-based views of IoT access, where how much routers are there in between my source and destination, or the detailed time-based data transfer can be monitored and throttling with the help of application. So again, application layer protocols includes MQTT, QAP, and DNP3, and some other protocols we use to transfer the data. The next third one is capacity planning. So the meaning of capacity is how much data you can send in a particular point of time. That is what the flow analytics can be used to track and anticipate IoT traffic growth. As data size is increases, again we have to increase the data flow also, or the size of the data flow also. It depends upon the new location of the services we are going to use. We have to upgrade. So we have to upgrade in the sense based on the data generated. So this is what the analysis we have to do. So in order to increase the capacity, we have to plan in such a way that if once data is increased, we have to increase our network size also. This analysis offered opportunity to track and anticipate the network growth in a continual basis. So next very important thing is security analysis. Whenever we speak about network, so based on our mainly network is used to transfer data. So for that data, we want to give security. So because of most IoT devices generates a huge volume of data traffic, any chance of network failure may occur. So that has to be taken care. So this may indicate either a cyber security event such as a denial of service attack or any other kind of attack that may happen in between your source and destination. So in order to take care of all these issues, we have to maintain a very good network and have to maintain a very good traffic in the network so that security will be provided for all the cases. Security can be enforced by ensuring that no traffic is sent outside the scope of the IoT domain. Means we have something called a bandwidth. We have to transfer the data with particularly only to that bandwidth. No traffic is sent outside to the area or a threshold level. For example, we have something called a LoRaWAN gateway. There should be no reason to see the traffic sent received outside. Means we have some other gateway in order to transfer data. We use a different gateways. This LoRaWAN is one kind of a gateway where there is no traffic at all. Such a way it is being built to transfer data from one point to another point. We have to use such kind of gateways in order to give much security for our data. And the final thing is accounting. So what is the meaning of accounting? Maintaining a log or how much data has been transferred, we have to account it. So in the field or area of network, routers or gateways are often used or isolate the leverage of public cellular service and VPNs that with respect to our smartphones or any Android phones. This development have thousands of gateways or a last mile IoT infrastructure where a cellular network flow monitoring can be done. We have to keep the statistical data with respect to data transfer from one end to another end. So next we have something called data warehouse and data mining. So flow data or data derived information can be warehoused, can be saved for a lateral retrieval of analysis. Here the warehouse is in a sense that data will be stored database. We can take example of database itself where you can store the data and you can retrieve the data whenever you want it or whenever you want to process it. Support of proactive analysis of multi-service IoT infrastructure and applications. So next we'll see the flexible net flow architecture. This is one kind of architecture with respect to network where the name itself says it's a flexible net flow. Net flow FNF, we call it as an FNF, and some other protocols are like IETF, IPFIX, that is RFC 5101, RFC 5102, or many more examples are there with respect to this protocol. And this flow technology is developed by Cisco system. This is widely developed all over the world. So the key advantages of FNF is it is flexible, scalable, and aggregation for the data flow or flow of data. And next one is ability to monitor, which is the wide range of packet information and produces a new information about network behavior. You can monitor very efficiently and enhance network anomaly and security detection. Again, there is a huge advantage, that is network anomaly and security. Whatever the problem comes, that has been enhanced, and you can give security for your data. And the last one is user configuration flow information for processing customized traffic, so that user configuration can also be done, and it is ability to focus and monitor specific network behavior. So these are all the key advantages with respect to FNF. This is one kind of architecture with respect to network. So next we'll see the architecture of flexible net flow, where different routers is there in my data. So as you all know that, so once the first packet starts flowing, it creates the path for all other the packets. So other packets or remaining packets will flow in only the updated status with respect to bytes and counters are at timestamps. Every router will have something called routing table, where every routing table consists of a source IP, destination IP, source port address, destination port address, and what kind of layer it is, what kind of how many bytes it is being used, what kind of interface, and so on. So this thing will be carried throughout the network in order to reach the destination. Based on destination address or the destination port, data will be reached to the destination. Again, here FNF cache is being used. So this again is also known as a cache, is a temporary memory where in order to process very fast. So FNF flow monitor describes the net flow cache or information stored in the cache. So the flow monitor contains record definition, key fields, and also non-key fields with respect to attributes characteristics within a cache. Also, a part of flow monitoring is a flow exporter. Its destination address, source address will be there in my cache, where various cache characteristics includes timer, size of the cache, if required, if the packet sampling rate also. So next, FNF exporter. We'll see the concept of FNF exporter. So there are two primary methods for accessing NetFlow data. So using the show commands at the command line interface, that is CLI, and using an application reporting tool. So you can record or you can access NetFlow data. And one more thing is network flow export like SNMP polling, pushing information periodically to the NetFlow reporter collector. So this is how we will go with timer. Next, we'll see the timer indicates how oftenly flow should be exported. So timer says how often the flow should be exported and what time basis it should be exported. And NetFlow export format, it's like the simply indicates the type of flow reporting format. So NetFlow service for a collection of reporting, it destines the following export. And it is often done by analytics tool that logs the anomalies in the traffic patterns. It encapsulates or it converts to another format and transfers the data. So next we'll see some of the challenges with deploying a flow analytics tool in the IoT architecture includes the following. First thing is some of the challenges. So the distribute nature of fog and edge computing may mean that a traffic flow are processed in the place that might not support a flow analytics and visibility to those loss. So in some area, we can't find or we can't place that might not support to the analytics. And the second one is again IPv4 and IPv6 native interface sometimes need to be inspected inside VPN tunnels. So the meaning of VPN tunnels is, as we all know that in 1970s the network has established. That time they used only IPv4 protocol. Why? Because that time network will be used only with the scientists or only with the research people. So 1990s the network has been drastically increased the size of the data. So once data size is increased, again there is a huge problem with IPv4 to transfer the data. So that time they introduced IPv6 protocol to transfer a big data or a big size of data in a network. So the meaning of tunnel is, so as we all know that in 1970s the network has established. Once 1990s IPv6 had started. So in order to change that network throughout the network, which has been done at 1970, it's a huge task. So what the scientists or what they thought is, we'll create a VPN tunnels where at the endpoints we'll install IPv6 protocol, where in between we have something called IPv4 only, but in IPv4 there's something called option pocket or option space in the IPv4 packet. We'll put IPv6 data into that option field and we'll transfer the data in the old network itself. Once it comes out of the tunnel, again IPv6 will fetch the data which is there at the option part of IPv4 or option part of IPv4 packet, and finally delivers IPv6 data itself. So this is the concept of VPN tunneling, which is existed, and it may impact the router performance also. So next, addition to that, a network management traffic is generated by FNF reporting device. So it increases the bandwidth. It needs to be reviewed, especially if the backhaul network uses cellular or a satellite communication. That has to be reviewed based on the data generated. So this is all with respect to a network. Thank you.